Panthers winning streak comes to an end on Saturday night at 9 games with a chance to start a new one on Monday afternoon. And should the Panthers go ahead and sign Corey Perry?
You're Locked On Panthers, your daily podcast on the Florida Panthers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into this Monday, January 15th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Thank you for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. I'm Armando Velez from the Hockey News, and you can follow me on X at Monoman12. Follow the show account on X and Instagram at LO_FLA Panthers. And shout out to the everydayers who come back here and get your daily Panthers fix. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more right now. New customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. So the Florida Panthers, they go into Saturday night's game against the New Jersey Devils with a chance to extend their winning streak to 10. And unfortunately, that does not happen on Saturday night against the New Jersey Devils. But when you think about this one for as far as style of play and the quality of chances that the Panthers got on the night, you got to be highly impressed. Not necessarily impressed, that's the wrong word to use, but you come out of there feeling content. That's I guess that's the best word I could put out there as far as the effort that the Florida Panthers put. I mean, it wasn't like the Panthers were having a hard time breaking out of their zone, and it was just multiple turnovers in their own end that caused rushes and all. The two goals, the goals that the New Jersey Devils scored on the night, at least the first two, were off the cycle, and then one was off the stick of Dmitry Kulikov and then the other one was a drive to the net where Paul Maurice had an opportunity to challenge the play when Jesper Bratt drove into the net, but not sure if it was enough for them to get in and get that one reversed, and then you have to go on the kill. You were already down 2-0 already at that point, so in that situation, it was going to be a hard one for Paul Maurice to challenge that one. And the Panthers, they provided a lot off the rush, and then once again, just like Thursday night when there was a lot of posts, the same thing happened on Saturday night. Once again, I mean, the top line, you got to give credit to the top line. They had 9 shots on goal on the night as well in all situations. So it wasn't for a lack of effort for the Panthers. I mean, running into a pretty hot goaltender in Nico Daws, who didn't play at all last season in the NHL on the NHL level, played all of last season for the Utica Comets, did start a good amount of games the year before, and only his 4th start of the season for the New Jersey Devils after playing a majority of the time in Utica, even though Utica is not having the greatest of seasons under former Panthers head coach Kevin Dineen. Nico Daws is definitely having a great year down there, and Nico Daws from Munich, Germany, stopping 34 of 36 on the night, and 12 of 13 of them being of high danger and all. And the great thing about this as well is that the Panthers, there's 2 point streaks that continued on the season, where Matthew Tkachuk and Sam Reinhart scored on that power play goal, which was such a beauty of a setup by Matthew Tkachuk between the legs, and then Reinhardt's in the slot, and then Nico Daws is already drawn to his left, and there's an open net for the Panthers. But hey, that power play Sam connecting on 16 power play goals, already tying his total from last season. I mean, think about it like this. We spoke about Sam Reinhart and 32 power play goals in a 2-year span, which is the most in a 2-year span in Florida Panthers history. And now he's already which 16 in each season. And now he's equaled that in coming into game number 43 of the season for the Panthers. It's just you run out of things to say sometimes about this guy and just how great of a two-way presence that he has been, and being on that penalty kill as well for the Panthers. The puck luck for this one for the Panthers, 3.85 to 2.89 expected goals for the Panthers over the Devils. So even the advanced stats were saying that the Panthers had the better quality of chances for the for the night on Saturday as the Panthers welcomed in the New Jersey Devils. And again, the go and then the last two periods, 29 to 10 shot on goal advantage for the Panthers. I mean, it's tough. It's tough whenever you get the majority of the zone time. You're not turning the puck over and all, and also mostly penalty free too. First period was penalty free, and then a lot of stuff were let go. And then I feel that the part where I felt that the Panthers were not going to come back in this one, I guess you can count this as when we thought this game was lost, was when Barkov went to the box for holding, which the broadcast said that a lot of stuff was let go on the night, and then it is a hold in actuality from Barkov there. But when you think about when you think about it contextually to everything else that they let slide, you know, that one's like, come on, man, you want it to be called, if you let go of something on one end, that you let it go on the other as well for the Devils too, if they were to do that. But hey, this is what Paul Maurice had to say after the game as far as the chances. I got the quote right here. He said, quote, "If you're going to lose a game and have a streak come to an end, that's the way you want to have it," close quote. So it doesn't seem that the coaching staff is worried by any sense of the imagination when it comes to the Panthers and them going on long droughts of scoring. I mean, when you think about puck movement there as well, that is goaltending. Bob was able to read a good amount of shots, even though, again, the hollow one is probably the one that he wants to have back, as that one was slipped through the 5-hole on there with no traffic in front. I know there was a player in between Bobrovsky and Holla there defending it, but there's still a little bit of that time in between and the space from where Eric Holla shot that. And, we haven't seen that too often from Sergei Bobrovsky, so it's not really something to complain about as far as his style of play, because Bobrovsky has just been incredible throughout the winning streak. I mean, 7 of those starts, I mean, at a .920 save percentage throughout that. So not much you can really take from this loss as far as the overall season outlook of the Panthers. And everything is just still, honestly, for the Panthers structurally in a very good spot for them to still make a run for the Atlantic Division. Boston did win their game on Saturday night, which means that the Panthers did fall to 3 points behind the Atlantic Division. So there's that as far as where they are standings wise now. So still, the Panthers still bits away to go as far as the rest of this homestand, which is still a few games left on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So still an opportunity to still use their home ice as far as creating wins, and also more rest, as it's a very home heavy schedule, which is such a great thing because of the Panthers getting all those West Coast trips out of the way. But we're going to transition over to segment number 2, where we are going to discuss Corey Perry. Yes, that Corey Perry. He is a free agent currently after everything that happened with the Chicago Blackhawks this season. We are going to discuss whether the Panthers should sign him, and if the Panthers are why the Panthers should be doing their due diligence either way. We're going to discuss that and more here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. And the NFL regular season has wrapped up, And Super Wildcard Weekend is about to wrap up, as well as Divisional Playoff Weekend is going to get started this Saturday afternoon. And there's a chance to do all of that with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get 150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is super easy to use, and there's so many different ways to bet, like same game parlay, find bets in the new Explore tab, make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, and it's the best way to find popular parlays and more. And even though the Miami Dolphins season has unfortunately come to an end, if you want to make any of your bets against their division rival, Buffalo Bills, I assume we're all rooting for the Steelers today. If you want to put the bets on the Steelers to beat the Bills and go into Orchard Park, you might want to place all of those on FanDuel. So visit fanduel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. So, by the way, for the I want to say a big congratulations to the Charlotte Checkers organization on the success that they had this weekend hosting the Queen City Winter Classic out at Truist Field, the home of the Charlotte Knights, AAA affiliate of the Chicago White Sox. And the Charlotte Checkers coming out with a big 5-2 win over the Rochester Americans, where Mackie Samoskevich got the game-winning goal. Justin Sordiff got 3 assists, and there's a mix of baseball and hockey all in that event, where we saw the Charlotte Checkers also looked the part of wearing baseball uniforms as well. And there's that picture from the Checkers social media page of Sordiff and Mackie Samoskevich with each other in the Charlotte Knights baseball uniforms. And then they go out on the ice, a crowd of over 11,000 there for an AHL game, which is incredible. And I know geographically the where South Florida is compared to Charlotte, North Carolina, that it's a big difference when it comes to maintaining the ice level, when it comes to an outdoor rink as well. But big congratulations to the organizations, and special shout out to TJ Shalat, who probably had a game of his dreams when it came to broadcasting wise. So big congratulations to him as well. So the topic at hand, as far as this segment for the Florida Panthers, here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, is Corey Perry and everything that him being a free agent and him being available to teams. Let's discuss more about his resume first of all, before we get into everything that happened with the Chicago Blackhawks. And Corey Perry has won everything, almost everything you can think of, as far as junior career, winning a World Junior Championship in 2005. That was during the lockout, and all teammates with Sidney Crosby, Jeff Carter, Brent Seabrook, Shea Weber, and all. Memorial Cup in 2005 with the London Knights, who that was, an alum of the London Knights in Corey Perry, alum in the London Knights in Matthew Tkachuk. But different times, obviously. Memorial Cup in 2005, teammates with, does this name sound familiar? Dave Bolin. I know that's a very familiar name with the Florida Panthers fan base here. Has won a Hart Trophy, a Rocket Richard as well, back in 2011 with the Anaheim Ducks, a Stanley Cup champion, just as he was kind of a spring chicken in the National Hockey League too, where the Anaheim Ducks won that one against the Ottawa Senators back in 2007, two-time Olympic gold medal. So there is slight connection with Roberto Luongo there, as Corey Perry and Luongo were teammates multiple times on the international level too. So that's something to consider as far as relationships and knowing people too, as far as that. Was part of losing 3 straight cup finals with Dallas, Montreal, and Tampa, and looking for that last cup at 38 years old as well. Not playing the same amount of minutes that in the last few years that he has since leaving the Ducks and all. But most recently, he signed with the Chicago Blackhawks, and Chicago, which they signed Taylor Hall, Nick Foligno, who Nick Foligno got extended, by the way, as part of building something around Connor Bedard. And Corey Perry was supposed to be part of that mix as well. But what happened? Corey Perry, late November, there was a surprise healthy scratch of Corey Perry. And then there was a statement from himself, from the man himself, Corey Perry, discussing about how his behavior off the ice was unacceptable, and he was going to be checking in for mental health reasons in order to get through this, and his contract being terminated with the Chicago Blackhawks as well. So there's different ways to see this, and 32 Thoughts actually covered this pretty well as far as that. And we don't know the exact details. We know Frank Saravelli spoke about how it was something in relation to alcohol, and that once his contract was terminated by the Chicago Blackhawks, this was not a league decision. This was a Chicago Blackhawks decision. Once the contract was terminated, he was able to sign and did not necessarily need a sign-off from the league, but he went to the league to get that sign-off and for the league to discuss, not necessarily publicly, but to teams saying, hey, he's eligible to sign. So although we don't know all the details of what happened, and that is something in relation to alcohol, which I want to say to people out there, no means no. If anything in relation to that has occurred, again, don't know all the details, but misbehavior probably with that, and also Elliot Friedman also spoke about how if this were any other team that had this incident under them, and let's go back to Chicago, early 2010s, Kyle Beach, the bad reputation that they had all around the league. Yeah, Stan Bowman's not there anymore. Coach Q's not there anymore. Rocky Wirtz is not there anymore, obviously, because he's no longer alive as well. So at this point, all people have left in order to trash on the Blackhawks is the logo. Even though there's been so much turnover there, but the logo brings reputation as well. It's symbolism as far as that. So the franchise itself cannot take another big PR hit as far as incidents that go on within the organization. So the Blackhawks felt that it was necessary for them to terminate the contract of Corey Perry because you gotta save face as far as the situation. This happens to any other team, likely it's just a sit down, a talking to, and then you get through it together. So that's all we know as far as that when it comes to that. But as far as Corey Perry's play on the ice, assuming that he takes accountability, he feels that he's learned something about this, and it's something that he won't do again as far as whatever the behavior was. What Corey Perry does bring to the table as far as that is just grit, sandpaper, scratching and clawing, just like and the Panthers have a lot of that personality already in their locker room. The Toronto Maple Leafs did actually try bring him in to sign him early in the offseason, but they couldn't make things work cap-wise. So the Leafs could circle around back at him for the 38-year-old. A lot of smash mouth hockey for him as well. And when you have guys on your roster like a Nick Cousins, a Matthew Tkachuk, a Sam Bennett, who will defend you after whistles, and bringing in someone like Corey Perry, that really helps the team as well. And the thing is, he's not going to eat up a lot of cap space, and he's not going to eat up a lot of minutes too. And let's not forget this: the bottom six needs a little help. Not a lot of assets at your disposal. So this is probably something that the Panthers could look into. Does it mean that they're going to do it? Not necessarily. And Lundell, Losterinen, those are, as far as the streak goes and all that, those guys still haven't really put a lot of their stamp into the season. And I still believe that in order, if you want to win a Stanley Cup, you still have to have that bottom six scoring. And there's a void there on that right wing on that third line. Yeah, Cousins is currently on IR, but that spot with Corey Perry filled in, or if you want to bring in a Mackie Samoskevich and call him up too, we know that that's going to be something filled later on this season, whether it is Nick Cousins actually coming back. But I know the Panthers would want to look for more solutions there and maybe bump Nick Cousins down a line too, as far as that. And Corey Perry is looking to redeem himself as well. And if people didn't like the Panthers then, a lot of people around the NHL don't. I know this is a Panthers podcast, but a lot of the talk around the NHL, around fans about the Panthers and the Matthew Tkachuk personality and bringing Corey Perry, a lot of people don't like him. Now, a lot of people won't like him if the Panthers do decide to bring in Corey Perry. And I'm sure that highlight from the 2020 Winter Classic where he had that walk of shame against the Predators is going to resurface if it hasn't already, though. But again, this is with the context of we still don't know the full details of everything that went on, but everything that was listed, the Panthers are likely going to do some due diligence as far as looking into the situation and seeing what they could bring for the team. Because at the end of the day, this is what owners and front offices care about. Can you help our team win? Because that is what is going to be remembered for a lot of front offices and fans too. Unfortunately, even with the off ice stuff, which shouldn't be that way, but that's what a lot of these people look for as far as what can you bring to the table on the ice too. In segment number 3, we are going to discuss more about the Panthers matchup tonight as they welcome in Corey Perry's former team, the Anaheim Ducks, to Sunrise, Florida. We are going to discuss that and more here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. And you shouldn't have to worry when buying tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easiest way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. And you can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show your total upfront, so you know what you're getting before you check out. Buy tickets in seconds with just 2 taps. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even after an hour after it starts. It's the best place to find last-minute tickets. Find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, hockey, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. With Zone Deals, you pick the section and Game Time picks the seats. And Game Time guarantees you'll always get the best price when you find tickets in the same section or row for less. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Segment number 3 here on this Monday, January 15th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day here on a Monday. So, by the way, didn't even mention this at the top of the show, but if you could tell, my background is a little different here on the YouTube channel. So, by the way, if you are on audio and haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel so you could see my pretty face. But if and also because I'm traveling this weekend, I'm actually in South Florida. I'm going to the game later today. As you can tell, the don't bring my podcast lights with me, so the lighting is a little dim as far as my face, so you can't see the whole thing. And ignore this Florida Gators poster on my left-hand side. Thankful. Want to give a special shout out publicly to Erin Brown of the Hockey News for allowing me to use her office space in order to record today's show. So big shout out to Erin Brown, even though she is a Gator fan. But yours truly is a Florida State fan, so it's not going so well for me neither as well. And a lot of you guys are Canes fans are listening, so probably disgusted in both hearing that as well. But Florida Panthers, Anaheim Ducks today, Monday afternoon, 1 p.m. from Amerant Bank Arena. Paul Maurice will be speaking to the media at 10:45 a.m. and he already announced his starter as far as today's game. Yesterday during practice at War Memorial, he said that Anthony Stolarz will be starting against his former team in the Anaheim Ducks. And the Panthers, we spoke about exercising demons against Western Conference teams of St. Louis, LA, recently, and the Vegas Golden Knights. But the Panthers in this situation, they're currently on a 7-game winning streak against the Anaheim Ducks, including 3 overtime winners during that span and a shutout. And a close call the last go around when the Panthers and the Ducks met. That, as you remember, November 17th, Friday night. That was the first game that Montour and Aaron Ekblad made their season debuts on the night. And the scary moment as far as game wise, where Jacob Silverberg had that wraparound on Anthony Stolarz, did not look like Anthony Stolarz got his pad on the left post there. And I thought it was a goal, but the referees ruled that it was not, and that helped the Florida Panthers as far as winning that game as well. But it's going to be the return of Radko Gudas. We already saw the return of Frank Vetrano last season when the Ducks visited the Panthers on President's Day. This time it'll be another afternoon game today on MLK Day, which, by the way, happy MLK Day to everyone. So return of Radko Gudas, and it's so funny once again that when they did face off back at the Honda Center back in November, when there was some post whistle scuffles, you never saw Radko Gudas go after any of his former teammates. It was someone who was probably new or that he did not play with at all during his time in Florida. So kind of a little bit of an observation there from the last go round as well. So then the Anaheim Ducks still in a rebuild. Trying to get some of their draft pieces to work together as far as getting some top picks. Obviously, a new front office too, with Pat Verbeek at the GM, Greg Cronin as their head coach as well, and up and down as far as relationships with the players too. The contract negotiations of Trevor Zegras hadn't gone so well. Trevor Zegras actually won't play today. He's on injured reserve. Also, Leo Carlson is on injured reserve as well, so won't see the number 2 overall pick from the most recent draft today as well for the Anaheim Ducks. And still no status on Pavel Michikov, who's day-to-day for the Anaheim Ducks, who's a big part of their blue line too. So it's a young team, one that struggled, still trying to find their way. John Gibson, we don't know if he's going to be traded. It still has a bunch of term on his contract, but still, as far as the latter part of the years, what is John Gibson going to get as far as a winning team around him? Because he's endured so much losing over the last few seasons for him. But I mean, Mason McTavish, what can you say? Loved watching him at World Juniors just last season for Team Canada, and that top line with him and Ryan Strome and Frank Vetrano, also at times Alex Killorn, that line, and Frank Vetrano himself has gone as Mason McTavish has gone too. So, and there's a period of time in between December, I believe it was December 2nd to the 21st, where Mason McTavish was missing, and that hurt the production of a Frank Vetrano, which congratulations to Frank Vetrano, by the way, for being the Ducks representative for the NHL All-Star game in Toronto. Also, Sergei Bobrovsky is officially an All-Star too for the Florida Panthers. So it's going to be Bobrovsky and Sam Reinhart as the representatives. And also a big part of a trade recently, as Jamie Drysdale was a 6th overall pick drafted by the Ducks and traded for Cutter Gauthier, who's a World Junior hero for Team USA recently, and nobody knew about what was going on with contracts and all of that, and also playing status as well, which Gauthier had a conversation with Daniel Briere, which Daniel Briere did not draft Cutter Gauthier. It was a former Panthers assistant general manager, Chuck Fletcher. And then there was a conversation that went wrong. Gauthier went ghost, and then they facilitated that trade for Jamie Drysdale. But there's still a lot of promise as far as the blue line. We mentioned Pavel Michikov as well. There's also Olin Zellweger there as well, who's playing with the San Diego Gulls as well. So there's still that promise as far as that. Very excited for the tribute video that we're going to see for the Radko Gudas when he does make his return for the Florida Panthers. And we did mention this as trade targets possibly for the Panthers a few weeks ago, and this was when they were struggling to get their scoring going. It was shortly after their West Coast trip. We did mention Adam Henrique too. Yeah, and that's a name that a lot of Florida Panther fans don't like to hear. But when you're talking about this era of the Florida Panthers, as far as that, and the opportunity for him being an expiring contract, and also getting a chance to play for a contender in the latter part of his career, the Panthers could also look to discuss with Pat Verbeek to see if what could be available for an Adam Henrique as well for the Cats to help some of their bottom six. We just mentioned Corey Perry. This one is another for the Panthers as well. So after today's game, we will be having a recap show from the press box from Amerant Bank Arena as the Florida Panthers take on the Anaheim Ducks this afternoon at 1 p.m. It's going to be a short drive to the arena, and make sure to follow the show account and my personal account as well, so you get all the updates from this afternoon's game from Amerant Bank Arena. But in the meantime, if you like what you're hearing, please subscribe to the podcast to be notified every single time the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast jumps into your podcast feed. Don't forget to also subscribe to the other shows on the Locked On NHL network, including Locked On NHL, Locked On Fantasy Hockey, Flip Livingstone, and Stu Roden, and Locked On NHL Prospects. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. So I'm Armando Velez, signing off. And you've been listening to the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day.